Hey, this is Ben from Black Talon Design. Today I'm going to take this old axe and I'm going to do a restoration. Well, more like a conversion. I'm going to convert it into an authentic Viking axe. And before this is pointed out to me, it's not going to be authentic at all. So first I had to remove the head. And here you can see me trying different techniques, which really did not work. So then I had a brainwave. If I heat up the metal and expand it, the head should just pop right off. So I'm going at it with my blowtorch. Those of you that have seen my videos before will know that I really got to get a new blowtorch, because this one just expels too much gas, which then catches and turns into a giant fireball. But hey, it's pretty fun. It does turn out, as ridiculous as this is, it did work, because 1, 2 popped straight off. So I wanted to change the shape of the axe head and have a dip in the both bottom and the top to make it more like a Viking style axe. Before we go any further, I do want to apologise. This is some of the worst camera work of any of my videos. Sometimes I put the camera on the desk so it wobbles like crazy, and other times the video is completely ruined because I've got my giant head just right in the way. This was painful. It was just soaring and soaring and soaring until eventually, there it is, the first bit popped out. I did say earlier this was going to be an authentic Viking axe. However, that's not really the case at all. I think it's more accurate to say that this is a traditional Viking style axe. Not authentic in that I'm not going to use the same tools and techniques and materials that the Vikings would have used. The axe head is made of hardened steel, hence why it's so difficult to saw through, and certainly early Vikings wouldn't have had the technology to create the steel alloy, so the axe heads would have been made of iron. Similarly, for the handle I'm going to be using cherry wood, whereas traditional Viking axes would have been made of spruce or pine, which was widely available from the vast pine forests of Scandinavia. Right, second piece out. Time to switch up to some heavier machinery to carve this into a neat curve. I don't do a lot of metal work, hence why I haven't got a lot of metalworking tools. I'm probably using the wrong tools and the wrong techniques. But hey, it gets the job done. There is almost definitely better ways of doing everything I do in this video in terms of metalwork. But I'm learning as I go. If you have any tips, I'd love to know. Drop them in the comments. Right, time to start on the handle, which is woodwork, something I actually know a little bit about. For this, I'm using a lovely piece of cherry wood. As this is a bespoke piece, just something for fun, I'm not too worried about the design, so I'm just roughly sketching the shape I want for the handle. Not particularly bothered about being too accurate, which suits me fine. To shape the handle, at this point I would love to go over to the bandsaw. Unfortunately, the biggest problem with that is that I don't own a bandsaw. So it may be slightly longer way around, but I'm shaping the whole thing on my belt sander. Once I'd got the handle to the rough shape that I wanted, it was time to mark out the top and cut the shaft that's going to fit into the hole in the axe, which is known as the eye. Then I'm going to saw this down to approximate size before returning to the belt sander. And you may not believe this, but this video is not sped up at all. I can really saw that fast. Whilst researching this video, I found that there's a name for each very specific part of the axe. And as soon as I saw this, I knew there was a riddle in there somewhere. So here goes. What has a toe and a heel but no foot? It has a cheek and a beard but no face. It cannot see but it has one eye. It cannot speak but it has a throat. It cannot eat but it has a belly. It has no arms but it has a shoulder and a butt and even a knob. Oh, by the way, the answer's an axe. Then time to test the first fit. It goes on, but not very far. And this was probably the most long-winded part of the build. Because I would bring the handle over to the head, I would test the fit, and back over to the belt sander to shave a little bit off over and over again until I got a perfect fit. Then, once I'd knocked the shaft through the eye enough, leaving a little bit protruded, I'm gonna use my flush cut saw to split the shaft down the middle, and we'll see why in a minute. And for this next bit, I'm going to use a little sliver of this offcut of mahogany to create a really nice contrast against the cherry wood. Then I'm going to mark this up and I'm going to cut a wedge of this mahogany to tap down into that slit I cut in the top of the axe to broaden it and make it flush with the eye to hold the axe head on to the handle. Not quite sure why I started with that little precision flush cut saw, much better with the big bad boy. And there's my wedge. Time to put the head back on and tap it down. And tap that wedge into the gap to make that a nice flush fit. And check it's secure. Yep, that's not going anywhere. Back over to the vise, back with the flush cut saw, and time to cut that flush. Again, I'm trying to be too precise, and sometimes the biggest, baddest tool just is the best. As you can see, I've got a little bit of chip out there that happened when sawing. Maybe the biggest, baddest tool isn't always the best. Then back to the grinder with the flap disc to smooth out that rough surface and get it nice and shiny. So we got a nice tight fit in the eye there, but I wasn't happy with the blocky look of the shoulder. So time for a bit more sanding and shaping. Then onto the oilstone to sharpen this bad boy up. This oilstone is 600 grit on one side and 1200 grit on the reverse. Then nothing to do but test it out. And that's that. Well, actually that's not that. I still wanted to apply some finish and a little bit of decoration to this to make it more like a Viking axe. The finish I'm using here is a Rubio Monocoat. But it's not a clear finish Rubio like I've used before. This is the cherry charcoal variety. As you can see, it just adds a light stain to the wood, which I think looks really, really nice. Really simple to use as well. You just rub a lot on, leave it a few minutes, and then make sure you wipe it all off. This final stage is a first for me. I've never really tried wood burning before, but I've got this wood burning tool and I really just wanted to give it a go at burning in some Nordic Viking symbols into this handle. I do apologise, as I said earlier, this is one of the videos where once I looked at the footage, my head was blocking the view for most of the video. So here's the bits that you can see without my head in the way. And here we go, time for the finished product. Thanks again for watching, hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought in the comments and let me know if you want to see more builds like this. God damn it. Oh.